What's up, guys? Shouts out to Israel Adesanya for the win versus Paulo Costa. The Cancers do it again. A lot of people don't know, but you don't want to fuck with the Papa Claw. With the Papa Claw, it was a Cancer Adesanya versus Paulo Costa, the Taurus, in the final of the main event of the UFC fight tonight, UFC 253. And some other notable Cancer fighters are Conor McGregor, Mike Tyson, and Johnny Bones Jones. So a lot of champions come from the Cancers. And Israel's got a little Leo energy too. So if you saw after the fight, he was dancing around. He couldn't slow down that energy. And he kind of looked like he was trying to screw Paulo in the butt after he knocked him out. So he put a little bit of that masculine energy in there too. But let's get our video tonight. Tonight we talk about boundaries. All right. So let's kick this off. Let me get loosened up a little bit here and get in the zone. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about boundaries like a lot of people here. A lot of people, when they think of boundaries, they immediately think about boundaries of what they allow from other people, right? So my boundaries, often people say, I've got boundaries towards this type of person. I don't let this person in my life, or a person that speaks like this. All that's great. I'm for all that stuff. But as with everything in philosophy and life and astrology and psychology and all of the corresponding fields of the human, of the man, of the woman, it all starts from the self and emanates from the self. So I'm going to be talking about boundaries that one sets for themselves, boundaries that you can set for your own life in order to achieve what you want to achieve, and in order to have as much fun and as much grace and nobility in the process. So, before we get into boundaries, what I've found is that it's very important, in order to place your boundaries, to have a goal, to have your goal in mind, a general goal for life. Now, I'll tell you my goal just to give an example straight out front. My goal is to achieve, or let's use a different language. Language is very important. It's spell casting. This is the spelling. So let me get the exact wording down that I'll use for this video. My goal is to be the purest embodiment of my spirit in the way that is best for myself and for everybody around me. That's good enough, but that's basically the gist of it. So, now you may be thinking, so this is where it comes in, you may be thinking, well, that's a very general goal. That doesn't talk about what you want to be, what you want to do. But in fact, that it's a wide umbrella that covers it all. And I'm going to give you a way to understand why I'm the type of person that sets that kind of goal and what kind of goal you may want to set. It could be similar to mine, could be different. So what you want to look at is your second house in your astrology chart. The second house is not only your possessions and your values and the things that you would hold closely if an emergency happened, things that you have great value to, but also your value system, speaking philosophically. So my second house is Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter speaks about philosophies, belief systems, morals, codes of ethics, and big picture ideas. So that gives you an idea why my philosophy is a mystical or spiritual big picture idea, because that's exactly what you would expect from a Sagittarian second house. Now, say your second house is, I always like to do earth examples for some reason. Maybe there's a lot of people with earth second houses. Say your second house is an earth sign. It's very easy to use fire. Just think about the elements. So Sagittarius is a fire sign. That's going to be more mystical, philosophical, passion-oriented, and less practical. Whereas the earth signs are the kings of pragmatism, kings and queens of practicality and pragmatism. Queens, really, they're all feminine signs. And so, say you have an earth sign, your goal may be to have a family. I want to have a family with a spouse or with a partner, and I want to have children, and I want to live in this type of house. It can be like that, or it can be I want to reach this pinnacle in career, or I want to have this amount of money, or I want to set up this type of homestead. I want to have a homestead out in a rural area with a certain amount of animals, and I want to have plenty of space for gardening so we can grow our own food, all that. Those could be your goals as well, and any goal is good if it's true to your heart and to your soul and to your mission here, then by all means. But you want to look at your second house in astrology in order to see what type of goal you would like to set. If it's a water sign, it may be an emotional goal. Like, I want to have this level of comfort. I want to have these things in place so that I can feel like this, because I know when I feel good about my life and myself and my situation, that's when I thrive. That's when I can serve other people the most, and when I can be operating at my fullest ability. And then an air sign, I want to have this amount of stimulation. I want to have this amount of thinking and planning and conceptualizing to do, or inventing. I want to have this, I want to be in this position so that I'm able to research these things for my paper. So I need to clear space to say, okay, so this is where we see why setting the goal first then shows you the boundaries. And remember, these are boundaries for ourselves. So boundaries that we place on ourselves are defined by our goal, right? So let's take the goal of the homestead, right? Say our goal is to establish a homestead. We want to establish a farm where we live and with our family, and we want it to be in a rural area, right? Yeah, let's just leave it loose. So with that in mind, this gives you an idea of where you begin to set your boundaries. This one's tough for me, so I'm going to use my own example. Sorry if it's a little self-serving, but it's hard to think of boundaries for that idea. So let's think more generally. So when you start to set your boundaries, one thing that no matter what your value systems, just to give the general level, no matter what your value systems are, you do not want to deprecate yourself. That's the whole point of setting boundaries. We don't want to hurt other people's lives, that's a given, but we mostly hurt our own lives. Even when we hurt other people's lives, it's also hurting ourselves. So the boundaries that we need to set are knowing that manifestation is like it is. We can't manifest things that are outside of our goal. We can, but I'm saying that these are what the boundaries are for. So here's some general ones. These are some boundaries I set on myself and that I think that most people should set, and I can pinpoint corruptive reasons why you should not do these things. So one is gossiping or talking negative about other people's goals or other people in general, right? Because when we start to, you get back what you're giving out, and where you focus your attention is what you receive from the universe, right? So if we're focusing on the negative qualities of other people, first of all, it's almost always a reflection of our internal. But even if it's not, even if we're just pointing out and criticizing behind the back or in a way that is not intended to help, it's intended to just vent. It's intended to bring people down. You know what I mean? You really have to look at your intentions. So for me, I rarely ever gossip. It's a boundary, right? And so this is what the boundaries are like. The boundaries still get crossed sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody may walk up to you, you're tired or you're worn out, and they begin to gossip, right? And you may throw a couple comments like, yes, this person did do this, that, and the other, and now you're feeding into it. So now you've joined the egregore. An egregore is a spirit that is fed into by many sources, and it begins to have an embodiment of its own. So like if you're at a Trump rally, that has a certain egregore because all those spirits are feeding into a certain overlying spirit that's tapped into all of them. If you look at a flock of birds, they have an egregore because they're all flying together without communicating verbally or, with noise, with whatever. So they have one spirit that's flying all those birds. Same thing with a colony of bees. They all have an egregore, right? So we don't want to get into egregores that are against our goal. We don't want to talk shit about other people because that's against our goal, because we don't talk shit about ourselves, so we don't talk shit about other people. It's an exact reflection. We don't talk shit about ourselves. We don't gossip about ourselves because that holds us back. If we're saying, well, I'm never going to get this homestead and I'm lazy and I don't actually even know how to plant food, now we're just manifesting all that shit. I shouldn't have even said it right here. I'm casting spells. You know what I'm saying? But I'm giving you guys an example. So we do not want to speak negatively towards other people or towards ourselves at all. It's called gossip in this world, but it's really just pulling down. We never want to pull down when we're shooting for our goal, right? Unless our goal is to become like a top demon or something, then we want to pull down, but we're not. That's not what this channel is about. I mean, hey. Anyways, you guys are free to do what you want, but that's not what I'm about. So, Boundaries. So what's another boundary that we set? We don't talk down. We remove the negativity of ourselves and of other people's lives. What else do we do? Boundaries on time. We're gonna need our own time, right? So we need to know exactly how much time we need. And the way you follow this is based on your astrology, but also based on every human's got the same setup. When you start to feel emotionally down or tired or worn out, this is all a sign from yourself, literally, and from your spiritual team, which can wear you out faster, that you need to reallocate your time. So, for example, working at this gym shop job that I talked about 3 videos back, I had been working there, and still am 5 days a week, right? And so, in 8 hours a day, so 40-hour week. So, I started to notice my time was definitely. Oh man, I'm gonna have to plug this mofo in. One sec, guys. We can keep this going. Ain't gonna stop a thing. So let's plug this guy in. I may have to hold it now because this plug comes right out the bottom of it. Let's see. If this stands up, that'll be a beautiful thing. Okay, I'm gonna hold it. So let's get it up where it was. That'll have to work. The lighting's changed now. Whatever. All right. So, lost my train of thought. So boundaries. We don't think negatively. We learn our value system. How do I distill this? Let's get this going, guys. Higher self. Hop on in here. What was I just talking about? Okay, so you're going to feel it, right? And also that you're going to get signs from the universe if you're supposed to be doing something else in order to achieve your goal. Because once you put your goal out into the collective, notice also, by the way, this is a note for everybody. If you notice my speed of talking, my cadence, and my intellectual clarity in this video, nothing's changed in terms of my diet. I actually have less sleep than usual. But Mercury has changed from my 12th house to my 1st house. It's gone out of Libra and now it's in Scorpio, right? And also there was a harsh aspect of Mars and Saturn. What's the word called? Besieging Mercury, which means that Mercury was in between a square and an opposition. So Saturn was at 25 degrees, Mars is at 27 or 26 degrees. Saturn being in Capricorn, Mars being in Aries. And Mercury was at like 25 degrees, so it was in between Saturn and Mars from 2 different aspects. One from the opposition of Mars, one from the square of Saturn. That's called a besiegement because it's being attacked from all angles. If you don't know your old school history terms, that means that a castle's being sieged, which means they're usually blocking the resources by circling the castle so that the castle can't bring food and water and arms into the castle. So you can't do anything. Mercury's blocked, it can't move, and you're being attacked. So there's arrows, there's big stones coming, breaking down your walls. There's guys that may be climbing ladders soon. They may be sending poison in. You never know, right? So besieged. Mercury was besieged. So you could see that my process has changed a lot. That's just a little side note, just based on the Mercury placement. And Mercury is a very important placement in my personal chart. So when it's firing, I'm firing, as a general rule. You guys can learn what's an important placement in your chart and just watch that planet. Watch one planet at a time. And you'll be able to see, okay, I'm only watching Venus now. When Venus is here, I don't feel so good. My emotions aren't so good. The things that I usually like don't pleasure me that much. I could eat my favorite food and I don't even really like it that much. That's because Venus rules all earthly things that are sensate. So nice fabrics, good food, beauty products, oils, anything that feels good, looks good, tastes good, all that stuff. That's all Venus, right? So you choose a planet in your chart and just watch it, right? Okay, back to it. Not only will you, when you're trying to set boundaries for your time, not only will you feel it, you'll feel tired, you'll feel emotionally uninvested. I'll be sitting in the job and somebody will walk in, and in my mind, this is why I have boundaries. In my mind, I'll start to go, get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of here. You got to remember, Scorpio ascendant, Pluto, 1st house. It looks all bubbly and nice, but it's really just my time's my time, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? But you play it off. You put the Libra moon on, you put the bubbly smile. Hi, how are you doing today? Welcome to the store. If I can help with anything, let me know. But that's a problem now in the grand scheme. In the job right there, that person doesn't even know unless they're spiritually tuned in. Because, you know, I'm playing it off well, but I've hit a problem. I've hit a boundary because now I've negative talked. I didn't say any shit about them, but I was in a negative headspace. Get out of here. I'm in a bad situation. It's almost fight or flight. You know what I mean? It's like, I just want to do my own thing. I want to sit down. I want to go outside and smoke a cigarette. Okay, so that's a literal example. Your body, you're literally in your mind talking to yourself and you're feeling like shit, right? But also, the universe will start to step in and you'll start to, oh, I overslept and now I can't get to work on time, even though I set 2 alarms and I asked the angels to wake me up and I woke up every other time I did that. Right, that's because you didn't wake up because you ain't supposed to go to work anymore. Go back to my video from when I was on the road. It's like 3 minutes long. I forget what it's called. I'm wearing a blue shirt with paisleys on it. My hair is shorter. Go back to that one. This is exactly it. Your team, your spiritual team, your ancestors will start to throw roadblocks in, and you think it's just, oh, it's my fault. I'm late to fucking work. I fucked up. And then you're in a negative headspace. The boss comes in. So why were you late to work today? And you're like, oh no, I'm fucking late. Even if you don't even give a shit. You see what I mean? You're playing into a whole game that's not yours because you weren't supposed to go to fucking work. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you quit the job, but we'll get to that later. That'll be my manifestation part 2, clearing space for the manifestation. So boundaries, right? So when we get hit with that shit, now we've got to put up a boundary, and that's when it gets tough. We're like, man, do I really have enough spiritual force to put a boundary up against this situation? Or am I a weak piece of shit that school taught me that I'm a weak piece of shit, which we never talk like that to ourselves. We're not a weak piece of shit. We fucking own this game, right? So what we do is we throw up the boundary. So Spirit, how can I help them throw up the boundary? So now we know what to boundarize. We put boundaries around our time. We put boundaries around our self-talk. Because if we've got a clear vision and we've got time, it's always going to work. Those are the 2 main factors. Clear vision, time to do it, resources, connections, all that comes later. You don't need too many boundaries around that. Just make the right choices, follow your guidance along the way. All you need is time, because think about it. Imagine if you were the angels and they could play your body like a puppet. They're not going to do that because you have free will, but they could get you to the right place in like fucking 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? They'd get you up out of a situation in 5 minutes if they could talk through your mouth and do so you got to open up. You got to surrender. You got to say, all right, I need to get out of this. This is how we do it. Thank you, angels. I need to open up and set some boundaries, right? So you sit back. Archangel Michael, oh, angel of protection, angel of cutting etheric bonds, please help me and thank you for your guidance. This is it. I got to tell you that strategy. You don't ask for please from God, from angels, from all that shit. Leave that at the door, because that shows no faith. If I ask Archangel Michael, please do this, that's like, he's like, well, do you really want it? Because I know it sounds weird, but I'll explain it. Because you're not having faith. If you say thank you, Archangel Michael, for guiding me and for providing protection against my enemies or against these people that are in a demonic state, we won't use demonic, I mean, that are in a lower nature. Thank you for protecting me from them and from severing the bond, the etheric bond. You can do a meditation, look it up online, cutting the etheric cord with Archangel Michael. Lay on your back for 15 minutes, listen to that, and pick people. It'll give you 3 options. There's a good video. You'll find it intuitively if you trust yourself. And cut those etheric bonds with people, which means you cut the tether so you're not getting their thoughts. Because some people, you can not have seen your dad in 20 years, right? And you're walking into the store, and your dad always used to say, don't grab that piece of bread. I'm just making a stupid example. So you walk in the store, you look at the bread, and you think of your dad's voice. That's because your etheric bond is still there, your tether, so you're still picking up what he would have said because that's a past trauma to you. And you're like, oh, I shouldn't touch the bread. Wait, who said that? So that's another boundary. You have to start to watch your thoughts so you learn who you have weak boundaries against. I know I was going to say self-boundaries, but this is a self-boundary. Everything's a self-boundary. Okay, so I was following a thread. So we talk to the angels. We say, thank you, Archangel Michael, for protecting me and for giving me guidance on how to get up out of this, how to transform up out of this situation with the job, right? Then you sit back, you whip out your tarot cards, you whip out your pendulum, you whip out a tarot video on YouTube, you whip out a pick a card yes-no video on YouTube, you whip out your meditation session, and you get dialed in, and you say, what should I do? Should I quit going to the job? Should I keep the job, right? And then you ask the pendulum, should I go to the job? Should I quit the job, right? Bing, yes, you should quit. Now your fear rushes over your body. Adrenaline, shame, doubt, fear rushes over your body. You sit there and you say, oh wait, I have a boundary towards negative self-talk. So if I just trusted Archangel Michael to deliver me an answer, if you're clairaudient, he may have just whispered it in your ear. Yes, you should quit the job, right? I'm not allowed to negative self-talk myself, and I trust the angels, and I trust my plan, right? And the logic will come later, because later you'll say, well, this isn't logical, I can't quit, but that's all emotion and fear talking. That's all a program. So you're running a program. I can't quit the job. I can't do this. It's gonna put my manager's gonna feel like I'm a douchebag. I'm not gonna have enough money. I'm gonna be screwed. All this stuff, right? We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore because we've got a boundary on negative self-talk, and we know the plan. So we think later, or we think right now. We think, oh, that's gonna free up a lot more time, right? And that actually sounds fun, because I was thinking about going to the stream, and I really want to get my feet in the water. And also I've been making these YouTube videos lately, so I can do more of that. And I can start to set up some online stuff where people can pay me for me to help them for my services. And I can start to help more people, because in the gym shop I can only help so many people. And in whatever your situation is, you can only help so many people. In any situation where you're being led by somebody else, especially some large corporation, you can't really help many people. You're gonna sit there and help a few people your whole life, right? And a lot of you guys want to help people. So you've got to be the leader, especially if you're born in the Aries Saturn generation. You're gonna have to be a leader, right? And what does a leader need? He needs time and boundaries and a value system. He needs a goal, right? He needs time and a vision. Boundaries on his time, boundaries on his vision, or her. And he needs a goal. That's beautiful. I wove a lot of things in. I think that'll be good. And I'm not even judging this video. I know it'll be good. How about that? Aquarius. So, Moon's in Aquarius right now. Is there anything else that I should tell them? Iodine. You should drop iodine as well. I'm going to go get the dropper and show you real quick. Get a couple more things too. Let's do this. All right, iodine dropper. Oh, this is funny. You're gonna see who I got this from. This is actually an InfoWars product, an old Alex Jones Survival Shield X2. This is nascent iodine, deep earth sourced. That's gonna clean out your thyroid gland. Ooh, glands. I'm gonna show you the gold ormus. Glands, gold ormus. Okay, keep giving me intuitive stuff, angels. I'm gonna keep showing them more stuff. Check this guy out. So, let's get that focused. I think I can click it. Yeah, not the best front camera on this iPhone. Regal Purple Gold Mana Ormus. Got this on Etsy. This is gonna turn your pineal gland on, alright? Up the drops as you go, but don't go too high at the beginning. Show them the Celestite. Celestite, this helps you tap into angelic connections. I've had girls come into the shop and tell me that Celestite has cleared their anxiety attacks if they keep a piece with them in their purse or their pocket and they whip it out. So here's a Celestite. Let's get Celestite. Let me get this. Okay, so this is a geode of it. Similar to that fluorite piece I showed you, but this is more of a quartz structure, so it's got these points on it that you're used to probably seeing. Beautiful piece. It is crumbly. As you've seen, since I've shown you, a couple little quartz points have fallen off. So you don't want to move it too much. But I like to take these crystals and put them, first of all, I keep like 10, 15 under my pillow of the strongest ones I've got for the dreams and for the vibe enhancing and clearing, energy clearing while I'm sleeping. But also, if you take those big ones and point them at your pillow on either side of the bed, that'll be great too. And yeah, I'm doing some big transformations, so I got my Archangel Michael statue pointing right at my bed as well, because I'm trying to meet him up in dreams even better. I mean, you can do all this stuff without the physical. Don't think you need the stones. You don't need the statue of Archangel Michael. All that stuff just gives you a symbol to tap into. You know what I mean? It can only enhance it unless you've got some bad, but even that'll enhance bad energy. It can only enhance it, but you have all the tools within yourself. And with that, I'm going to leave you at about the 25-minute mark here. Love you guys. Good fight, Adesanya. You got them. And have a great night.